My boyfriend joked that I should compete for his attention with his female friends while I paid his rent, so I walked away and let him face the fallout. Female, 25 here, and I've been supporting my boyfriend for a while now. We've been together for over 4 years without any breaks or issues between us. We met in a workshop for one of the optional classes I was taking for extra credit, and he ended up asking me for a coffee. For a couple who's been together for over 4 years, you'd think we would have had our fair share of arguments and breakups before we reached a stage where I'm comfortable helping him out with paying his rent, but no, we didn't really have any major fights. I wasn't supporting him from the start, as we both had decent jobs right off the bat after graduation, but 2 years in, he said he wanted to follow his dream and pursue independent media. I wanted him to be happy with the work he did, so I told him he should go after his dream and not worry about how things will work out. In the beginning, it was still okay because he had savings and a plan, but pretty soon it was evident that the company he was trying to establish would take more time to turn in profits. He had used all of his savings and invested everything he got from the sponsors into his company. It came to the point where he was due for rent for over 3 months, and that's when he asked for my help. As soon as I found out, I told him he doesn't have to worry about finances, and I'll support him until he starts making some profits. Him moving in with me wasn't an option because he had started the company from his home instead of renting out an office space. That's how we ended up with me supporting him. It was all okay until recently when I noticed a change in his behavior. His workouts are extending day by day, and on more than one occasion we've gone for a week without talking, texting, or seeing each other. As much as I understand being engrossed in one's work is important, I do think that a healthy work-life balance is important in a relationship. So last Saturday, I took an early day off and went over to his office, in the hopes that I'll be able to get him away from his desk and get some fresh air. I rang the bell and one of his friends let me in. They're all in the same field and he had hired his friends to work for him as freelancers. She made a face after seeing me and it put me on edge. That's how things started going downhill. When I saw my boyfriend, I asked him to wrap up his work for the day so we could go out. Keep in mind, at this point, we've gone for 5 days without seeing or talking to each other. It was the least of my expectations from a boyfriend, and he did say he'd be done in 30 minutes, so I decided to hang around and wait for him. But when he was about to get up to go, his friend came over and asked him where he was going. He told her he was heading out, but she stopped him by saying he needs to put in the same hours as them, and as a boss, he shouldn't leave first. Of course, it was all playful jest, and we all knew he could have left as he's the owner, but then he said if she wants his company so badly, maybe he'll stick around for a while longer. I was flabbergasted to hear him give up so easily and not consider how I'd feel about his actions. Instead of losing my mind over this whole situation, I told him politely that we haven't spent any time together, and as he's already wrapped up his work, we should go out and enjoy ourselves. At this, he commented that he's liking the attention he was getting, and maybe I should compete for his attention with his female friends. Of course, I knew it was a joke, but I wasn't in the mood for anything funny, and the way he asked me to compete when I'm his girlfriend rubbed me the wrong way. So I took my bag and told him he can enjoy his time with his friends while I go and have the fun I deserve after slaving for the entire week just to pay up his rent. I thought he'd follow me after I walked out, but he didn't come. In fact, all I got was a text from him saying how I behaved was rude and disrespectful in front of his friends, and that I shouldn't have done that. He didn't even mention how he behaved. I was so furious that he'd actually be so ignorant of my feelings and the state of our relationship that I am now rethinking everything. After the weekend fiasco, I decided that I don't want a man in my life who depends on me for almost everything in his life and yet chooses to put me second in front of his friend's circle. So I called the landlord and told them that I wouldn't be paying the rent for his apartment, and he was free to ask the people living there to evict me. I didn't think the landlord would take action so fast, but today I received a text from my boyfriend asking me why haven't I paid his rent, and why is the landlord at his apartment serving a notice of eviction. He called me a few times too, but I didn't pick up and eventually blocked him from everywhere. He wanted me to play his little games, but instead, I chose to let his friends win and walk away. Now, by the number of texts and calls I've gotten in the past 4 hours, it's clear that his life is falling apart, and he has no way to save it. He depended on me too much and underestimated how far I can go when I'm detached from a relationship. Of course, all of this is taking a mental toll on me too, and now that the deed is done, I'm second-guessing how I went about handling the whole situation. I'm rethinking whether I should have just talked it out like adults, but I'm still very much pissed at how flippantly he behaved the last time I saw him. So, I wanted an outside opinion on this matter. Am I the a-hole here for essentially ruining his career and his life, or is he the real a-hole who treated me wrong here? Update 1. I've heard people say before that you'll see someone's true colors when they're at their lowest and struggling. And it is so true because I didn't think my boyfriend was capable of going as far as to frighten me with physical violence. He came over to my apartment last night after a week of me ignoring all his texts and calls. I had the security chain on the door, so I didn't open the door completely, and after he tried to force his way inside, I left the chain closed. He demanded an explanation on why I'd cut off the payments for his apartment's rent without telling him first, and why am I behaving like a child? There was irony in being called childish by someone who was choosing physical violence over civil talk. Anyway, I told him I have nothing to explain to him. He is the one who wanted me to compete for his attention, but I chose to walk away from not being treated the way I deserve. It's his fault for not valuing what he had and not appreciating how much of a help I was in his life. I wouldn't have even paid any attention to the things that were wrong in our relationship, if not for him blatantly voicing out loud what he thinks of me and where I stand in his life. That just got him more riled up, and he started to reach out for me to harm me in some way, but I backed off and closed the door. He kept banging on the door for another 15 minutes, until I told him I've called 911, and if he doesn't go away, he'll be going to jail. I'm very scared right now because, for the first time in all our time together, I have realized I don't know the limits he could go to. If anything happens, at least these posts and updates are on account of my side of the story. Update 2. My ex-boyfriend has been following me for a while. Actually, following is putting it mildly. He's turned into a crazy stalker, and I'm scared to even go out. I noticed a few weeks ago that he's everywhere I go, and based on pure intuition, I started going around in pairs. I called some of my closest friends, and they were ready to help me out. We eventually figured out, through keeping an eye out, that my ex is following me from my home to work and waiting at a nearby cafe until I'm done. Then he follows my route back home and just stays in the neighborhood park. Yesterday, I confronted him about his behavior. Of course, I didn't go alone. I was expecting a fight, or maybe more threats, but instead, he started crying and begging me to take him back. He said he was sorry for how he behaved and for not realizing sooner how much I meant to him. He said he has always taken me for granted, but now that I've walked away from him, he has realized I am the only woman for him, and he's a fool to let go of me. The apology on its own might have swayed me, but paired with his stalking behavior and the physical threats, I didn't want anything to do with him. I told him that I'd moved on and that what he's been doing is making me unsafe. I asked him to stop and even threatened to report him to the cops if he didn't leave me alone. Update 3. I had to get a restraining order. It was a very exhausting and lengthy process to deal with my ex, but I had no other choice. He kept stalking me and once more tried to forcefully make me come back to him. Thankfully, I had a friend by my side who called the cops, and they arrested him. I filed my request for a restraining order because I didn't see any other way to be safe. I'm also going to change my apartment and try my best to keep it a secret from him. I wanted to leave this quick update here because so many of you were worried about me in the comments and the DMs. I'm alright, and for now it seems like my ex is behaving himself. He got bailed out by someone and hasn't shown up anywhere near me, so I think that's a good start, but I'll still be very careful. NTA. You're not the a-hole. Your boyfriend sounds incredibly immature, and he needed his ass to be dumped to realize what's important in life. But you can do a lot better than him. You're still young, so don't waste your energy on people who don't deserve it. NTA. OP is not the a-hole for making the boyfriend realize who exactly he's playing with. I think your mistake was supporting him financially and letting him believe that just because you're dating, he could do anything. But better late than never. What you did was the right thing, and if I was in your place, I would have done the same thing. I am the drama this week. I, 16 female, got myself kicked out of Sunday school at my stepdad's church this weekend. My mom married Brad earlier this year. He has 4 kids, 12, female, 10 male, 9 male, 7 male, that are with him most of the time. And to say their family is religious is like the understatement of all time. The daughter has to wear skirts all the time and can't cut her hair. And they're all at church at least 3 times a week and have family Bible time and stuff every day. I wouldn't care except that now that my mom and Brad are married, they expect me to participate, and that's just not my bag. I think it's superstitious, misogynistic nonsense, and I always leave stuff at their church feeling icky. I try to get my mom to let me go to my dad's on Sundays to avoid conflict, but that's a non-starter so far, so I try to avoid talking about it. But Brad is like making it his personal mission to get me saved or something, so the subject comes up regularly. I finally put my foot down about not wanting to go to church with them, and it turned into a big argument, and my mom asked me to just go and keep the peace for the younger kids because it's something we do as a family. So I go and mostly just read, but I don't lie about why I'm there or my religion. If someone asks me a question, it pisses Brad and my mom off, but I figure if they don't like it, they can let me stay home. The problem is that the Sunday school teacher for my age group is a real piece of work and thinks we're all stupid because we're teenage girls. So he likes to go into a lot of biblical Greek translation stuff to make himself look smart. The only thing is he's almost always totally wrong. My dad sends me to private school, and I took 2 years of ancient Greek, taking Latin now, and I know he's bullshitting people. So I brought an interlinear New Testament and a Koine Greek dictionary with me this week. And when he got started, I corrected him, not mean, but just like, wow, that's not what it says here at all. Can you explain more? And oh, that's weird because that's not how Brill defines that word. Dude was turning red by the end of it and asked me to stop interrupting, so I just shrugged and said I was trying to learn. He told the pastor, and the pastor told Brad that I'm not allowed to come to Sunday school anymore because I'm disrespectful. So, Brad and my mom are mad and want me to apologize for derailing class instead of just getting through quietly. But, I don't know. ATA? Update edit, people keep asking me how it turned out, so here's how it is now. I'm officially living full-time with my dad. My mom is still mad, but she can deal with it. We have a few hours on the weekend away from their house for now, but that's it. Stepdad isn't allowed to contact me. Before I let them know, I visited for Christmas to do presents. I left my stepsister a secret present with a note telling her if she ever needed help or to talk, to text me. She texted me thank you, and she won't tell anyone and has been texting me occasionally, so at least right now, if things go squirrely for her, she can get some kind of help if she wants to get out when she's older. And we're still in contact. I talked to my dad, and he said he's willing to try to help her if it comes to that because it sounds super culty. She'll be old enough to be emancipated by the time I finish undergrad, so if that's what she wants, maybe we can figure out a roommate situation. NTA. Brad is way out of line trying to force his religion on you, and your mom is also TA for trying to coerce you into going to his church to keep the peace. Can you talk to your father about it and ask him to intervene on your behalf? NTA. You proved that the purpose of the Sunday school lesson was not about learning. If it were, the teacher would have been happy to have a discussion with you. The adults who are trying to force you to attend and agree with something that you don't believe in don't respect your opinions. Yeah, expect you should respect theirs. That's not how respect works. I, 46, male, have a son, 18, male, in senior year who is with a girl, 18, female, for 2 years from his school. And they recently broke up. His ex-girlfriend is well-mannered and intelligent. Me and my wife both adore her. Her parents are the same. They broke up at the end of October after they went to a Halloween party, and she broke up with him. They have despised each other since and would be cold to or about each other, though he never explained the details of why they broke up and has been extremely hurt by this. A couple of days back, a number was calling me several times in the middle of the night, and I answered. It was his ex-girlfriend. She was crying and mumbling. She was going on about her mother, and it was all incoherent. She was clearly inebriated, and I calmed her down. She was asking me if she could stay in the guest bedroom for the rest of the night, and I told her that she can stay however long she saw fit. Me and my wife included her in breakfast the next morning, even though she felt embarrassed, and my son joined us but was clearly flabbergasted by seeing her and was about to leave, though I encouraged him to sit with us. It was quite awkward to say the least, though it is evident they clearly still like each other. As I have seen her at our house, she cut her stay short as she said her parents would be worried, and it was better if she started heading home. My son offered to drive her home. She just said no thank you and left. As soon as she left, he got upset at both of us and was wondering why she was here for breakfast. And he told us that we were immensely invasive of a space in his life that is fragile, and I don't respect his boundaries by letting her stay without his knowledge. He told me that I should have at least warned him that she would be here. I was wondering if I was the a-hole for letting her stay, encouraging her to stay for breakfast, and proceeding to not tell him, as he was greatly upset by this. ATA? YTA. Helping the kid out during the crisis was the right thing to do. Clearly, she needed a safe place to stay, but you should have woken your son up and told him immediately. He should have had a warning and been allowed to stay in his room where you would bring him breakfast, so he could choose not to interact with her in the morning if he wasn't comfortable. And you shouldn't be offering to let her stay indefinitely. I get giving her a safe place for that night, but offering to let her stay as long as she needs without even talking to your son first shows no regard at all for his feelings or comfort in his own home. Did you date anybody before your wife? Ever had an ex? How can you not get where he's coming from here? I realize that your intentions in helping her were good, but you went about this all wrong, and in a way that was a betrayal to your son. You and your wife owe him a serious apology. YTA. It doesn't matter how nice she is. It doesn't matter how much you like her. It doesn't matter why they broke up. Your son was ambushed by his ex-girlfriend at the breakfast table. I understand letting her stay. An 18-year-old called you incoherently rambling in the middle of the night, and you wanted to help her. Fair enough. That's not why you're ta. It's because you didn't warn your son. Would it have killed you to send him a text or go knock on his bedroom door to tell him that she was in the house? YTA. It's not even so much about letting her stay, as you haven't discussed enough about your relationship with her, and their breakup to determine how out of line it was, though typically, it's not normal behavior. Generally, though, most parents have the common courtesy of checking with their child first to make sure they wouldn't be uncomfortable before offering your home for them to stay. However, the least you could have done is forewarned him. Even if you weren't going to give him a say, to blindside him like that first thing in the morning is very much an move. You made him uncomfortable in his own house. That is a lousy thing to do.